Tonight, 16 southern governors meet in Enugu, demand zoning of 2023 presidency to the south, also agreed to forge ahead with the anti-open grazing law. Federal government promises to introduce changes to make the national identification process more seamless. And in a new twist, the Nigerian Air Force admits that civilians were killed during one of the airstrikes in Yobe State, as a board of inquiry is set up to investigate the incident. And ECOWAS leaders meet in the Ghanaian capital, Accra, to assess the politics there. Plus, international news from our London studio.
On business news tonight, Department of Petroleum Resources targets 3.2 trillion naira revenue by the end of 2021.
On sports news tonight, President Muhammadu Buhari receives FIFA President Gianni Infantino in Abuja, says his administration will sustain its relationship with the World Football Governing Body.
And from Abuja, calm returns to the University of Benin after 2 days stormy protests by the students rejecting the 20,000 naira late registration levy.
And 16 southern governors are demanding that the 2023 presidential ticket be zoned to the south. The governors who met earlier today in Enugu also took further resolve to implement the anti-open grazing legislation. The governors in a communique expressed satisfaction with the rate at which the southern governors are enacting the law, especially in alignment with the uniform template adopted in their previous meeting, and urged states that have not done so to align expeditiously. It's the third time the southern governors are meeting this year to deliberate on issues of national interest.
Whenever these faces appear on the board, it can be expected that the occasion is one where serious issues are discussed. This is the third meeting of the Southern Governors Forum in 4 months, and this time the venue is Enugu State. Once pleasantries are concluded, the key topics deliberated on are read out by the chairman of the forum, Governor Rotimi Akeredolu of Ondo State. Though not first on the list in the communique, the stance of the 16 governors on the direction of the 2023 election is a headliner.
The meeting reiterated its earlier position that the next president of Nigeria must come from the southern part of Nigeria in line with policies of equity, justice, and fairness.
Next is the matter of grazing bills and laws, which Governor Akeredolu points out is not one the South is going to let disrupt the peace in the region.
The meeting expressed satisfaction with the rate at which the states in the southern Nigeria are enacting or amending the anti-open grazing laws, which align with the uniform template and aspiration of southern governors, and encourage the states that are yet to enact the law to do so expeditiously.
The recent passage of the Petroleum Industry Bill into law was applauded. However, the conversation on VAT is one the governors are adamant will have to be handled by them.
The meeting resolved to support the position that the collection of VAT falls within the powers of the states. The meeting expressed satisfaction with the handling of issues around the PIA, Petroleum Industry Act, and ownership of NMPC by the larger Nigerian Governors Forum.
A lot has been said, with a lot more hopefully taken away. How the communique is translated to a larger spectrum for possible implementation is a wait and see matter.
And the governors may be clamoring for the collection of VAT as represented in the Southern Governors meeting, but this will depend on the Court of Appeal. Today in Abuja, ruling was reserved in the application by the Lagos State government to be joined in the appeal by the Federal Inland Revenue Service, challenging the judgment of the Federal High Court, Port Harcourt, which ordered the River State government to collect value-added tax. After all parties had argued and adopted their written addresses in the application for joinder, Justice Haruna Samani, who headed a 3-man panel, reserved ruling to a date that will be communicated to them.
Lawyers are back in court to resume hearing in the appeal filed by the Federal Inland Revenue Service FIRS challenging the judgment of the Federal High Court Port Harcourt, which ordered the Rivers State Government to collect value-added tax. This time, the attention is on Lagos State Government, which had requested to be joined in the suit alongside Rivers State. The Attorney General of the state, Mr. Moyosore Onigbanjo, told the court that the Lagos State Government has vested interest in the case because the state has enacted a law on VAT, insisting that the decision of the court will affect the state. However, counsel to the FIRS, Mr. Mahmood Magaji, insists that Lagos State should not be joined because the state was not a party to the suit at the trial court.
We're saying let everybody be on the same level first. Then we can take up. Assuming Lagos is joined, we'll start all over again. And we're set for it.
Although the Lagos State Attorney General was not available to speak, the counsel to the Rivers State Government speaks on the day's proceedings.
That application has been taken and the court reserved ruling as to whether to join Lagos State or not. Thereafter, we will proceed with the matters.
The presiding judge, Justice Haruna Samani, subsequently reserved ruling to a later date.
Meanwhile, Senator Ali Ndume has faulted the federal government's borrowing plan, stating that there is little or nothing to show what the loans received so far have been used for. Senator Ndume is also dissatisfied with what he describes as speedy approvals of the loans by the Senate. His comments follow the recent request by the President seeking approval of the National Assembly to borrow over $4 billion and 710 million euros from bilateral and multilateral organizations to fund the deficit in the 2021 budget.
The Senate, by the definition, is house of deliberation. When things like this come, we don't just rush and say, oh, because you want to be good and you just approve it. No, you are supposed to look at it critically, cross the T's, dot the I's, ask questions, carry the people that you are representing along to say, look, they brought this to borrow. Do we agree? That means, those that elected you. Not that we just sit down here and just do it. In fact, it may be good, but the way we do it makes the people we represent look at us suspiciously. There are some situations where the demand, the time is short, and that you have to act fast. Then you have to carry Nigerians along. I feel pain when they say, and you people again, this is the third and the last one. I won't do it again. You call us rubber stamp and all that. No. And it's because we don't carry you along. If for example, there's an opportunity that is for 1 week and the Senate needs to approve something, and when we need to get it for Nigeria, we can do it in 24 hours because of the need and the emergency. But then if there are certain things that can wait, there is no hurry in it, that we need to analyze. Like we rush to approve certain borrowings. Up to now, we didn't get the money. So why did we rush?
To other stories, the federal government has been taking stock of its efforts towards boosting the number of Nigerians registered in the digital identification program. As part of that effort, the Minister of Communication and Digital Economy today unveiled local solutions at the 3rd National Identification Day held at the Banquet Hall at the State House, Abuja. Our correspondent Kayla Megwa reports.
This is the 3rd edition of the National Identification Day, which gives governments an opportunity to assess the work done so far in ensuring its citizens are registered and deal with the challenges facing this plan. In national identification in Nigeria, poor broadband access in remote communities and rising insecurity pose a major challenge to the Nigeria Identity Management Commission. According to the Nigeria Identity Management Commission, there are 800 enrollment centers nationwide, while the enrollment figures as at July 31, 2021 stands at over 60 million registered persons. Lagos has the highest cumulative enrollment with over 7.2 million people, while Bayelsa State recorded the lowest enrollment with over 450,000 people registered. The figures also show that citizens between the ages of 20 and 60 make up the bulk of registered Nigerians, showing that registrations at birth, school enrollments, and deaths need to be scaled up. The chairman of the Economic and Financial Crimes Commission, who stressed the importance of registration of Nigerians in the anti-graft war, had to be carried out of the hall after a health challenge.
I think I have to stop here. Thank you very much.
The Minister of Communication and Digital Economy assures the audience that the EFCC chairman is in stable condition and goes on to explain why local solutions are crucial to boost the number of Nigerians registering on the country's database.
After a few minutes, he stabilized and he left here. So let us remember him in our good prayers. Before, to establish an enrollment center, you needed around maybe 1 to 2 million naira. With this box, around 250,000 naira is sufficient for you, including all the facilities for enrollment. Even during enrollment, you don't need to touch the facility for biometric. It will just scan your biometric like this, and amazingly, that is sufficient.
Over 60 million Nigerians have been registered so far. And it doesn't seem like such a big figure if you look at the fact that we're over 200 million Nigerians. However, it is a step in the right direction. Every stakeholder in every sector, security, education, and whatever it is that has to do with identifying Nigerians in this country must step up their game to ensure that in the nearest future, every Nigerian can be identified. Kayla Magwa, Channels Television News.
Meanwhile, the chairman of the EFCC, Mr. Abdulrasheed Bauer, has been speaking about his state of health after he looked weak at the NIMSI event in Abuja earlier today. The EFCC chair was a guest on our political program, Politics Today.
The 16th of September, today is the National Identity Day. I was invited by for a program by NIMSI, or specifically by the Ministry of Communication and Digital Economy. And while giving my goodwill message during the program, there was a bit of dizziness on me, and I have to excuse myself from the stage. And of course, I went straight to the hospital where the doctors confirmed to me that everything about me is okay, except for the fact that I'm a bit dehydrated, that I need to take a lot of water. So, and straight away from the hospital, I went to the office, tidy up 1 or 2 things. I'm now back at home. And let me use this opportunity, Shaun, to thank millions of Nigerians for their prayers and for their well wishes.
And the anti-graft fight continues. Well, moving to security now. Police authorities in Sokoto State have arrested a suspected merchant who allegedly benefits from activities of armed bandits by supplying fuel and other consumables to them. The suspect was paraded at the Sokoto State Police Command headquarters alongside other suspected criminals. The Sokoto State Police Commissioner Kamaldeen Okunlola says the suspect was arrested along Ilela Road in Sokoto with 23 jerrycans of 20 litres of petrol. Also paraded are 2 suspected armed bandits who confess to have participated in several attacks within Sokoto State and other states in the northwest region. In part 2, after the break, the picture is now clearer in the Yobe incident as the Nigerian Air Force recants, accepts responsibility for the airstrikes. Well, that will be coming from our Abuja studio. Please stay with us. Welcome back. If you just joined us, you're watching the news at 10 live on Channels Television Lagos. A reminder of our top stories. 16 southern governors meet in Enugu, demand zoning of 2023 presidency to the south. Agree to forge ahead with the anti-open grazing law. Federal government to make the national identification process more seamless, promises to introduce changes. In a new twist, the Nigerian Air Force admits that civilians were killed during one of the airstrikes in Yobe State. Board of Inquiry is set up to investigate incident. And ECOWAS leaders meet in the Guinean capital to assess the political situation in Guinea. Matters of security, the Yobe state government has confirmed 9 persons were killed while 23 others were injured following the accidental military airstrike on Buwari community in Yenisari local government council of the state. The executive secretary of the state's management emergency agency, Mohammed Goje, told journalists in Damaturu shortly after visiting the victims in Gaydam that 2 of the injured have been transferred to the Yobe State University Teaching Hospital for further treatment. According to him, the state government has paid all the medical bills of the victims, provided food items for their families, as well as taken inventory of the affected households for further action.
Immediately after the receipt of the news of the mistaken airstrike in a community in Buwari, in our local government, His Excellency Governor Malabuni directed us to swing into action and to ensure that those that were injured received the first line attention from the government. So we went there. 23 persons were evacuated and are in the hospital. They are being attended to and they are receiving treatment free of charge. Out of them, there are 7 elderly women, 5 children, and the remaining are elderly men. 2 patients are being referred to teaching hospital in Damaturu, of course free. Unfortunately, we lost 4 young children and 5 adults. So presently, SEMA is on ground. We are putting up the required bills for the medical attention. And secondly, knowing fully that the communities are agrarian communities that always go to farm before they come and put food on their table, we provided immediate food support to the houses there. The houses that were destroyed are being profiled so that we will look for ways to immediately respond to their needs so that they can go back to their normal lives.
Meanwhile, the Nigerian Air Force says a board of inquiry has been set up to investigate the circumstances that led to the incident in Yobe State. In an earlier statement from the NAF Director of Public Relations and Information, Air Commodore Edward Gapquet, the Nigerian Air Force had denied the airstrike in Buwari community. However, in another statement issued this morning by Air Commodore Gapquet, he admitted that some civilians were erroneously killed during one of the airstrikes in the state. Residents in the community had informed Channels Television's correspondents that several persons were killed in the air raid. Staying with security, Governor Bello Matawalle of Zamfara State has been explaining why his administration's dialogue with bandits terrorizing his state didn't yield any result. Addressing State House correspondents after meeting with the president at the presidential villa, Governor Matawalle accused bandits of deceiving him and went contrary to their agreements. The governor, however, insists that relative peace has returned to the state, added that the state government had been steadfast in the fight against banditry.
As you know, we are there fighting and we have taken a lot of measures in order to curtail the problem of this insurgency. And we thank God it's yielding a lot of result. We recorded a lot of successes for what we have done. And as you are all aware, we have a lot of security personnel that were deployed to Zamfara State and they are working seriously. The situation is calm and people are going on their own day-to-day activities. It's just that we have caught a lot of things, particularly, moving with foodstuff, animals, and selling of petroleum. A lot of measures that we impose, and people are happy with the measure we take because people are suffered. People have been killed every day before and been kidnapped. But today, alhamdulillah, we have succeeded. We don't have much issue in Zamfara State.
Why have you ruled out the possibility of dialogue with them anymore?
Because they have deceived us. Some of them, they're supposed to, as we agreed, this is not what we agree with them. And we thought it's something that we can continue, but later they will understand that they have deceived us. So I have to back out from that and we have to fight them to the logical conclusion.
We have more stories from our Abuja studios. Here's Magwe Ogun Yusuf. Hi, Magwe.
Hello, Millicent. Normalcy has returned to the University of Benin and Ubowo Axis after the protesting students halted their protests over the decision of the institute's directive that late payment of school fees will attract a fine of 20,000 naira. After meeting with the aggrieved students, the Vice-Chancellor, Professor Lilian Salami, agreed to the demands made by the students. Our correspondent, Osaze Obaze, who visited the school today, says that undergraduates of the institution confirmed that a reversal of the controversial increment in fees has been reflected on their portals.
It looks quite serene here, the Uniben Ubowo campus, no demonstrator in sight. It is a contrast to the chants and agitations that characterized Tuesday 14th September and Wednesday 15th September 2021. Today's peace and quiet come a day after the Vice-Chancellor, Professor Lilian Salami, had promised a sea of students a reversal of her decision on the issues that caused the protest.
The 20,000 that is causing the problem, we will remove that.
The students are back to class already. As it does appear, normalcy has been restored.
I'm very happy she finally heard our voice. So everything has been resolved. School is back to normal. The serenity is okay. So we're okay. And I've checked my COFA page. The school fees is normal. It's back to 41,400. No 20,000 naira extra charge on top.
For now, the students are waiting for the Vice-Chancellor to release an official statement stating that it has been resolved and there's not going to be any free increment.
This May student says utilities have been restored and students are settling back in at the hostel.
I think everything is fine. The lights, the water is being restored to the hostel. Students in the hostel are doing okay, they are fine. There are no more protests going on. Everywhere is good and everywhere is okay now.
The University of Benin main gate axis of the Uselu-Ubowo Lagos Road, the road that leads out of Benin City to the southwest of Nigeria. Life, as it were here, has returned to normal. The demonstration is over finally, but let me tell you, it wasn't easy over the past 48 hours. Osaze Obaze, Channels Television News.
In politics, former Aviation Minister Chief Femi Fani-Kayode has been explaining the role he played in the defection of 3 governors of the People's Democratic Party, PDP, to the ruling All Progressives Congress, APC. He made this declaration at the State House after he was presented to President Muhammadu Buhari as the newest member of the APC. The former spokesman of the PDP Presidential Campaign Council was introduced to the president by the chairman of the APC National Caretaker Committee, Governor Mai Malabuni of Yobe State, and Governor Bello Matawale of Zamfara State. Our State House correspondent Gloria Umezuki reports.
In the last 6 months, the president has had the pleasure of receiving a number of high-profile defectors into the party. The latest, introduced by the governor of Yobe State and chairman of the APC National Caretaker Committee, is a former Minister of Aviation, Chief Femi Fani-Kayode, a former PDP stalwart who boasts of being instrumental to the recent decamping of 3 state governors. He explains that he was moved to the camp from the People's Democratic Party to a party he once swore never to join.
I felt that this was the appropriate time to do the right thing, to put Nigeria first, and to appreciate the efforts that have been made, particularly in the last couple of years, in terms of security, fighting insurgency, fighting terrorism, and most importantly, is the appreciation of the fact that we must remain one as a nation, build bridges, work together to move the country forward.
He insists there will be more defections.
There are many, many people, if you ask my friend and brother, Governor Matawale here, there are many people within the PDP who really do want to come over to the APC. I can tell you that. I was there and very instrumental when Governor Umahi, joined the APC. I was there and very instrumental when Governor Ayade did the same thing. I was there and very instrumental when my friend and brother, Governor Zamfara, Governor Matawale, did the same thing. And there are many, many others. Some of the most, remarkable men in this country are still within the ranks of the PDP. It's our job to try to win them over now. Somebody like, if you don't mind me mentioning names, somebody like the governor of Enugu State, the governor of Oyo State, and of course, my good friend, the governor of Bauchi State, great friends of mine.
The move by the former aviation minister has undoubtedly sparked mixed reactions, particularly because the former PDP stalwart had earlier indicated in 2019 that he would never join the All Progressives Congress, no matter the circumstance. What this move would portend for the opposition or ruling party ahead of the 2023 general elections is quite uncertain. Gloria Umezuke, Channels Television News.
Meanwhile, the Minister of Works and Housing, Babatunde Fashola, has appealed to parliamentarians in Ogun and Lagos State to show better understanding during the budgeting process for loans and other means the federal government is exploring to facilitate more critical infrastructure development across the country. He made the appeal while inspecting a flyover bridge at Mowe axis of the Lagos-Ibadan Expressway in company of the Ogun State Governor, Dapo Abiodun, members of the State Executive Council and officials of the Ministry of Works.
Non-stop movement of traffic is the plan as the federal government continues work along the Lagos-Ibadan Expressway. With approximately 50,000 vehicles traveling this stretch every day, the Federal Ministry of Works says capacity will be doubled to make travel easier on commuters.
The goal is always to make the journey time experience better than last year. Every year must be better than the previous year, and slowly but surely we'll get there. Also to reduce travel time on the road, save people money, and also save them fuel and all of those things.
Work on the Ibadan end of the reconstruction will continue in sections and will run from Shagamu in Ogun State to Ojo in Oyo State.
Everything is almost done. We are mandated by the president that this road must be finished next year, so we should be out of here next year fully completed.
The minister is also on this tour to know the progress of work on the flyover bridge in Mowe, another busy route along the Lagos-Ibadan Expressway. He's accompanied on this stretch by the governor of Ogun State, Dapo Abiodun, members of the Ogun State Executive Council, officials of the Ministry of Works, as well as the contractors involved. The congesting traffic on this axis is of high priority to the minister as he requests for additional land to build an interchange leading to Ogijo in the Ikorodu area of Lagos. For other infrastructure such as the Lagos-Abeokuta and the Ota-Idiroko federal roads, which are in bad shape, palliative work will begin next month.
Between October and December, FEMA will provide relief on Ota to Idiroko because the really bad part is from 0 to kilometer 3 and maximum to kilometer 5. There's one school there, forgotten the name. Igor Model School. So once we finish that area, relief will come. But the real reconstruction is going to happen if we reach a deal with Glo.
And from the Ogun State government is a promise to facilitate a loan as well as private sector backing to fast-track the reconstruction of deplorable federal roads in that axis if the federal government's Sukuk option fails.
All the failed portions along the length of that road up to Abeokuta, they have identified those portions. They are costing them right now. They are extracting them from the main contract. They have costed them to be about 13.4 billion. He's going to find money using Sukuk bonds to pay the contractor so the contractor can focus on those places, not just rehabilitating them, but actually reconstructing them so that when the rest of the road construction commences, they will just commence and complement those ones.
Mowe is one of the busiest border communities between Lagos and Ogun states, and residents often suffer the effects of the traffic congestion owing to the high volume of vehicles on either side.
When the News at 10 returns, prominent citizens of Anambra visit the state's new cargo airport, praise Governor Willie Obiano's efforts. Do join us again. Welcome back to the News at 10. In the southeast of the country, Anambra State Governor Willie Obiano has received thumbs up for good governance seen in legacy projects that will impact positively on the lives of the people of Anambra. The Anambra State Elders Council passed this vote of confidence on the governor after a tour of the Anambra State International Passenger and Cargo Airport in Umueri.
Governor Willie Obiano received the Anambra Elders Council, led by Chief Emeka Ayoku and other prominent personalities at the runway of the Anambra State International Passenger and Cargo Airport in Umueri, Anambra East Local Government Area. He gives them an update on the project, which is already nearing completion.
One thing you have to understand about this place is that it has two this is the only plane, airport runway in Nigeria that plane can land from either side. According to NCA, they monitor what we are doing here on a regular basis, and that's why we'll be passing all the tests that they said.
The governor leads them to the firehouse, where a special airport fire truck is stationed, and from there, the team is shown the control tower, the apron, and the terminal building, among other areas. Impressed by the development, the elders commend the governor for being an efficient manager of state resources.
I have traveled around this country many times. I have visited many governors. I cannot recall of any governor who has deployed the resources of his state in as efficient and a manageable manner as Governor Obiano has.
Every beautiful thing needs admiration, and that it is just wonderful, and that we rejoice. And we beg God to continue to bless the governor, the state, and to promote this airport and what it means for the people.
It is good that somebody leaves a legacy. What I have seen with my eyes is an everlasting legacy to Anambra State. And I congratulate you on that.
From the airport, they move to the International Conference Center, which appears set for operations. In their communique issued at the Governor's Lodge after the tour, the elders affirmed that Governor Obiano has left an indelible print on the sands of time, a legacy that will constantly remind the people of his 8 years in office.
Well, the celebration didn't stop there. In Lagos, the British Deputy High Commission hosted a pre-departure reception to bid farewell to the 2021-2022 cohort of Nigerian Chevening scholars. After a rigorous selection process, 50 Nigerians have been awarded a scholarship to pursue their master's degree across various universities in the United Kingdom. Since 1983, over 50,000 professionals from around the world have benefited from the prestigious award.
A new journey begins here for the recipients of the 2021-2022 Chevening Scholarship as they prepare for their studies in the UK.
Exciting opportunities ahead.
In his opening remarks, the British Deputy High Commissioner in Lagos congratulates the awardees on their success and their resilience.
You're going to get to travel to the UK and study, I think, is testament to your resilience.
Out of thousands who applied from across the world, 50 Nigerians were successful, chosen from different walks of life.
I feel so elated, honestly. I feel so glad. I feel so happy, so glad, because it's a rare opportunity. It is.
I look forward to learning a lot, research and analytical skills, and to bring the lessons learned back to come and help the health sector.
This year, one fellow is also selected. The president of the Chevening Alumni Association of Nigeria, Kesta Osahenye, alongside many other alumni and guests, are here to felicitate with the new scholars.
It should bring back home those values from the UK, the friendship that Nigeria and the UK has established all over the years. They should bring back innovative ideas that will help move our country forward.
We have so many great Cheveners amongst us.
Chairman, Channels Media Group, Dr. John Momo, is also a Chevener, and he urges the young professionals to use the opportunity to bring change to Nigeria.
Those 365 days should be days that will impact on your lives. Make them special, so that when you come back, as you think about the problems that Nigeria is grappling with, you try to fathom some solutions about what you're going to do when you get back to impact on our great country, Nigeria. So change is in the horizon. It is to be led by Cheveners. Because what Cheveners don't do is wait for change. They make things happen.
Chevening Awards are highly competitive, and to be selected for an award is a mark of potential and prestige.
8,000 applications, 7,000 eligible applications, and a 50 lucky recipient. And we think it's just an excellent opportunity for us, but also really for those Nigerians to enrich themselves, to study, to learn. And COVID's been a really tough time. So the prospect of going to the UK, having that study experience, and all hopefully of the richness of the experience of living in the UK, it's fantastic for them and fantastic for us.
Cheveners are expected to return home at the end of their studies, equipped with new knowledge, networks, qualifications and confidence to implement positive change. Teniola Shobowale, Channels Television News.
Oh, that's all from the nation's capital. But last we checked, it's still a markets day. We'll now take you to Anne Wanwodo, who's standing by in Lagos to tell us how the markets fared.
Thanks a lot, Malwe. Hello and welcome to Business News. 3.2 trillion naira, that's the revenue projected for the year 2021 by the Department of Petroleum Resources, the DPR. According to the DPR director, Mr. Saraki Awolu, the department has so far generated 70% of its revenue target, and it plans to hit the remaining 30% by December this year. Concerning the Petroleum Industry Act, Mr. Walu adds that the DPR has created a value on the economy benchmarking units to key into the new fiscal provision. He further states that the federal government is determined to create an environment that will encourage investors and improve the country's petroleum industry. The Central Bank's Monetary Policy Committee has begun its two-day rates decision meeting, the fifth for this year. This is coming a day after the National Bureau of Statistics released the inflation report for the month of August. It showed the fifth consecutive month of disinflation year on year, and that's happened all across major sectors. Top on their agenda will be the country's inflation, issues within the forex market, intervention programs, as well as other burning economic issues. Analysts expect that the MPC will retain the monetary policy rate, as well as other key parameters, unchanged at the end of the meeting on Friday. At its last meeting in July, the CBN voted to hold all policy parameters constant, believing that it will enable the continued passage of the current policy measure in supporting growth recovery recorded in the second quarter and macroeconomic stability. Meanwhile, the federal government has announced plans for the Eurobond issuance through which the country is expected to raise $3 billion at the international capital market. In a statement issued today, the Debt Management Office says that the virtual meetings have been scheduled with investors for the 17th and the 20th of this month, adding that this is the first time local investors will be included in the roadshow. The agency further explains that the proceeds from the Eurobond sale will be used to finance various projects in this year's Appropriation Act. The volume of cryptocurrency transactions right here in Nigeria and other African countries have grown by 1,200% in just 1 year. And that's according to a report by Chain Analysis. The analytics firm also mentioned that the continent has one of the highest grassroots adoption in the world, with Nigeria, South Africa, Kenya, and Tanzania ranking in the top 20 of its global crypto adoption index. That report also adds that Africa, which has the smallest cryptocurrency economy of any region under review, having received $105.6 billion worth of cryptocurrency between July 2020 and June 2021, had the third fastest growing cryptocurrency economy and a bigger share of its overall transaction volume made up of retail-sized transfers than any other region at just over 7%. And we head to the equities market, which took its trip south as the all-share index dipped by 0.15% at the close of business. Will Ibong has the details.
Hello and welcome to the Stock Market Report. The equities market is certainly on a roller coaster ride. Just like in an amusement park, it went up yesterday and down in today's session. The all-share index fell by a wider margin, 0.15%, knocking 30 billion naira off the market capitalization and eroding all the gains recorded on Tuesday and Wednesday. This pullback is largely attributed to two key market behemoths, GTCO and Lafarge. You know, GTCO and Lafarge are like the big wolf in the market. When they huff and they puff, they blow the little piggy's house down. Their impact is much evident on the sectoral indexes as the industrial goods index dipped lower by 0.14% and the banking index by 0.28%. Now, only the insurance index rose higher by almost 0.5%. Let's zoom in on the activity chart where there was a decline in the overall turnover. Value fell to 1.43 billion naira from 2.97 billion naira recorded yesterday, while volume of shares traded dropped by 7.92% to 130.2 million units. A day after a successful Eurobond subscription, Access Bank topped today's trade, contributing 24.78 million units to the total volume of shares traded today. Friday will be the last trading day for the week, and the stock market might be hitting choppy waters again. But let's hope that the ride is not so wild. And that's the Stock Market Report. I'm Willie Bung. Back to you.
Thanks for watching Business News Tonight. I'm Anne Nwawadu. The rest of the news at 10 continues now with Millicent.
Thank you, Anne. ECOWAS leaders today met in the Ghanaian capital to determine how the region's main political and economic bloc can steer Guinea back towards constitutional rule following last week's coup. Leaders were to hear a report from a ministerial mission that went to the Ghanaian capital, Conakry, to meet the ruling junta, the meeting held behind closed doors. Meanwhile, the vice president who represented President Buhari at the meeting has since returned to the country. It's Simon Putin with more international news and around the world in 5.
Good evening and welcome to the Channel Studios here in London with your international news around the world in 5. The UK, US and Australia have announced a historic security pact in the Asia-Pacific in what's seen as an effort to counter China's growing influence.
Today, we're taking another historic step to deepen and formalize cooperation among all three of our nations, because we all recognize the imperative of ensuring peace and stability in the Indo-Pacific over the long term.
Announced by the leaders of the three countries at a joint press conference, it will let Australia build nuclear power submarines for the first time using technology provided by the US. China's Foreign Ministry spokesman Zhao Lijian condemned the agreement as extremely irresponsible. The AUKUS Pact is one of the country's biggest defence partnerships in decades.
A new enhanced trilateral security partnership between Australia, the United Kingdom and the United States. AUKUS, a partnership where our technology, our scientists, our industry, our defence forces are all working together to deliver a safer and more secure region that ultimately benefits all.
The pace of climate change has not been slowed by the global COVID-19 pandemic, and the world remains behind in its battle to cut carbon emissions. That's according to the United Nations. They said the virus caused only a temporary downturn in CO2 emissions, and that there is a rising likelihood the world will miss its Paris Agreement target of reducing global warming to 1.5 degrees Celsius. French President Emmanuel Macron has said the head of the Islamic State group in the Sahara has been killed by French troops.
La mort de Abu Walid al-Sahraoui.
France's defence minister gave further details about the operation, saying the news would be a big blow for IS. Adnan Abu Walid al-Sawari formed Islamic State in the Greater Sahara in 2015. The group is blamed for most attacks in the region, including the targeted killing of French aid workers in 2020. An Indonesian court has ruled that President Joko Widodo and other top officials have been negligent in tackling air pollution in Jakarta. The lawsuit was filed by residents in 2019, the same year an air quality monitor ranked it the worst air-polluted city in the world. In a landmark decision, the court ordered monitoring stations and other measures to improve the capital's air. North Korea says recent missiles fired were a test of its new railway-borne missile system. It also reported possible plans to expand the North's railway-borne missile unit. Analysts warn that the system could make it more difficult for a foreign military to track and destroy the missiles before they are fired. The missiles struck a target in the sea off the country's east coast. Rapper Nicki Minaj has been criticised by Trinidad and Tobago's health minister over a tweet in which she said her cousin's friend in the country had been made impotent by a COVID vaccine. Terence Dayal Singh said the post had wasted his department's time. It has caused backlash from health experts around the world who are concerned about vaccine disinformation. 4 activists in Russia and 1 journalist have been detained in central Moscow after unveiling a banner that read "Free Navalny," referring to Vladimir Putin's imprisoned arch-critic. Activists unfolded the banner in Red Square, but police officers arrived in less than a minute, taking the slogan off them before arresting them. Navalny is serving 2.5 years in jail for parole violations in an embezzlement case he says was fabricated. 4 amateur astronauts have blasted off from Florida on their private mission into orbit. The Inspiration 4 crew that was put together by a billionaire blasted off from the Kennedy Space Center in a launch that was broadcast live around the world. The rocket could be seen flying through the skies above Florida from homes across the state. The quartet will spend the next 3 days circling the Earth. It's another milestone in the space tourism market, which is experiencing a resurgence after Richard Branson and Jeff Bezos both took trips. And finally, a Zimbabwean artist has turned Mugabe-era banknotes into paintings. Over a decade ago, Zimbabweans watched as hyperinflation made the currency worthless, with Zim dollars abandoned in 2009. Now, Prudence Chimutua has found value in the banknotes by using them to make art. Her paintings capture the daily lives of women, describing them as a symbol of strength and dominance. And that's your international news around the world in 5. Now back to the Channel Studios in Lagos.
Time now for some sports news. President Muhammadu Buhari says his administration will sustain its relationship with the World Football Governing Body FIFA to fast-track the development of the round leather game in the country. The president had earlier today received the FIFA president, Gianni Infantino, and the Confederation of African Football president, Patrice Motsepe, at the State House.
This administration adopted football as a national asset. The implication of this is that football now receives the highest level of attention possible in government and the rapid development of talent which we have in abundance. I have also approved the unveiling of a committee to draw up a 10-year football development master plan for the country. I expect that the recommendations of this committee will accelerate the development of football.
Meanwhile, the FIFA president, Mr. Gianni Infantino, commended the giant strides the country has played towards the development of football globally.
Nigeria is a big country in the world. It is a big football country. We need Nigeria to lead the football movement in the world, together with Africa as a continent. We are now debating, dear President, in world football, how we can increase the participation and the frequency of world competitions to have Nigeria, both the Super Falcons and the Super Eagles, playing at the highest stage against the best teams more frequently. Because only if we play against the best, you can improve and you can show them that you are better.
A brilliant goal by Fatima Tegnao from Morocco, 13 minutes from time, handed the Atlas women a 1-0 win against the women of Cameroon in the second match of the maiden edition of the Aisha Buhari Invitational Women's Tournament at the Mobolaji Johnson Arena in Lagos. Both sides missed clear-cut chances in the match before Tegnao finally broke the deadlock. On Friday, Ghana's Black Queens and the Bayana Bayana of South Africa will square up on day 3 of the tournament at the same arena, the Mobolaji Johnson Stadium. And that's a wrap on sports news.
And the main news again. 16 southern governors today met in Enugu, insisted zoning of 2023 presidency to the south and agreed to forge ahead with the anti-open grazing law. Also today, the federal government unveiled plans to make the national identification process more seamless, promised to introduce changes. That's the news attention. Thank you for watching. I'm Millicent Walker. Have a good night. Stay safe.